We are ready to jump right into our panel discussion. And at this point, I'd also like to welcome a new member of the panelists. We will be joined by an experienced professional with a proven track record of leading and implementing transformation initiatives for business functions in the technology and outsourcing services industry. Ms. Ems Chua of Jollibee is joining us today. Hi, Ems. Oops, sorry. I think you're speaking on mute. I'll unmute you.
Hi.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello.
Hello, Ems.
Hi, Ems.
Hi.
So Max will be moderating this panel discussion. I think we have more than 20 questions on the Q&A. But just to kickstart, and I leave to Max after I ask my question. How do you feel about the new normal? Do you miss going back to the office, or do you want it to stay this way?
Me? For me, I'll start. Honestly, I really miss going to the office. I miss my team. If you're part of recruitment, it's so obvious that we love to talk to people. I know talking virtually is very, very different from interacting with, people like who's in front of you. We love to interact and talk to our candidates. So personally, if you ask me, yes, I miss going to work. With Max's point, if I want to continue working from home, yes, I still want to continue working from home and have that balance. To be able to work from home and at the same time still meet my team. So that's me.
Anyone else? How about you, Ange?
Ange, you're muted.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's pretty much the same. I do miss the collaboration that you experience live when you're working with your team. So that's something that I'm looking forward to after this lockdown. But yes, having that option of being able to work from home, especially if you're enabled, is something that's a welcome thing to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I pretty much share the same sentiment as Ems.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've got a lot of workaholics on this panel, so I'm not surprised everybody wants to rush back to the office. But we're not necessarily representative of everybody. I'm asking the panelists who are in a leadership role. How many of you are actually going to make some of the work from home initiatives? How many of you are taking initiatives in work from home for your own internal talent acquisition teams that are going to stay permanent, that you think are going to stay after the crisis? Anybody want to share?
I'll get started. We've already dabbled with work at home within our recruitment team. But now we're looking at it on a regular basis. The new normal for us is social distancing, and that means all of the seat capacity within our sites will be prioritized for revenue generating seats, right? If my team is able to do the job from where they are, then that should be also part of the norm now. The challenge for us, it's the engagement. How do you maintain the energy? And there's a lot of things that we're learning while we're swimming. I think learning opportunities, and it's situations like this, webinars like this, that we as TA practitioners were able to then share best practices on how to best manage and navigate through this whole situation.
Yeah.
Let me share with you one reason why we don't work from home before. Remember PEZA?
Yeah.
All of us are PEZA accredited. And PEZA does not allow work from home. So when this announcement of lockdown and the negotiations between IBPAP, the BPO company, CCAP, with the government and PEZA, they suddenly allowed work from home because they had to. So what did companies do? So I'm not employed in a BPO or in a company now. What did the companies do? Desktops were even sent home.
That's right.
We delivered the desktops at home because the connections and the files were in the desktops. One of my coachee decided to go home in Batangas. So she did not have internet connection. She did not have an office mobile. The office provided the internet connectivity and provided the phone. So they cared enough for the employee because the employee had to work. The employee had to work the same shift, but no connectivity. Therefore, the company had to provide that. So really, working from home was something many people wanted, but not being locked down. So there's the difference. The difference between being locked down is you can't even go out. But being able to work from home and balance your life with work from home, I'm sure people would love that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And maybe the traffic will never come back. Maybe the traffic jams are gone forever.
That's actually ideal, especially if you're working here in Manila, and your the distance that you have to travel just to go to work, right? So for us in JFC, we're also looking at a long-term solution similar to the one that Jun has for Transcom. I think this is going to be the new normal for the team to continuously work from home. If ever we are going to be required to go to work, we'll probably do split shifts from depending on the role that we're hiring for. But I see that this is going to be a normal for us for the next few months until we see that a vaccine has been produced, because our candidates are also going to be worried if they commute going to our recruitment centers. It's also going to pose a risk, not just for us, but also for our candidates. So I think we are going to be in this situation for 6 months, I guess. That's my prediction.
Are some of the people at JFC and Jollibee, they benefit from some cool benefits like free lunch? I think there was like free Jollibee, no, at the office.
For some of our candidates, that's what we do. We offer them snacks when they actually visit the recruitment center.
I mean, for the employees, for your team.
For the employees, so Jollibee per se released an announcement. Our CEO announced that we're actually one of the 10 companies, local companies, who joined the bandwagon when the president asked for 13-month pay to be given to the employees. So we're very lucky that we're part of a company who's very, very generous. So all of the employees for Jollibee received their full salaries for the first month of the quarantine. We were also given our 13th month pay last April, and our company is still continuously participating in terms of sharing and giving donations for the food. We've had several food drives and food aid programs sponsored by our Jollibee Foundation group.
Very nice, very nice. And I think it's one of those companies that probably they're gonna do well with or without a recession, because people will always be eating burgers.
Actually, it's actually just to share with you. I'm very, very proud that I work for a company such as JFC, simply because we're also one of the industry that has been hit significantly. A lot of our customers are obviously not visiting the stores, and we have to significantly shift our strategy to delivery, to takeouts, and not a lot of our stores are actually enabled to do that. You've probably seen that our company started to sell ready-to-cook food. So they're available in supermarkets. Some of our stores are actually open to sell products, but food dine-in is not allowed, takeout and stuff. So we've also felt a big impact. But I think the owners of the company, the Tan brothers, are very, very generous in terms of ensuring that employees are paid and we get the benefit that we have. And we're continuously still sharing the blessings that we have. Cool. So I'm just simply proud.
All right, so everybody on this call, first chance you get, go get a burger to help the Tan brothers give back. And
they're online.
Yes, and they're online. You can actually go to the Facebook pages of each of the brands. So yeah, you can buy ready to cook food.
Very cool. We have a question from Erica David, who is asking about how we could prevent candidate no-show in this current setup. I don't know whether this applies to the no-shows for a digital interview, asynchronous, or we're talking about actually coming to a recruitment center. But I guess both are interesting, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, panelists, on what does it mean to get people to show up after this crisis.
So for us, it's really we're on a virtual recruitment journey, and all of our candidates are part of that journey.
There's more ghosting, no, in the virtual world.
Yeah, it's actually difficult to hide if you're applying virtually. In fact, the way we've done it, it's CES would reach out to you, would ask for your schedule. If you don't show up, would apologize and say, hey, we miss you, why don't you reschedule again? We'll try that for 2-3 times, and if you're not then you have then an option to opt out. Once you opt out, you then move to our email marketing, where it's more soft selling, so more updates on what's going on. I think the key is if you've redesigned your conversation bot to be engaging, it helps in terms of ensuring that they show up. It also helps when the candidate opts for a human recruiter, then a human recruiter would contact them as soon as possible. Yeah.
I'd also like to take this up. For no show ups, it's very important to understand that why they don't. In the earlier scenario, why, right? The whys were that either they were not clear of what is asked for in terms of a job description or the role that they will be doing, and so there is a miscommunication or lack of communication with them. I think how it is helping now, that communication is available at the click of a mouse or over a mobile phone, right? Which means that we can engage with them much faster and much better and closely. And once that communication is clear, all we have to do is to have a very transparent conversation or communication, which they would be able to understand, and they know what are the next steps. That would help itself to curb that.
Yeah.
I also want to add to that what Abhishek mentioned, where we also have to do our research as recruiters. We know that people are online most of the time, even more so now because of the lockdown. So how do we maintain relevance? The fight for relevance is so real now. It's not optional. We really have to do our research, get on the channels that are important for talent, and push out content that's also relevant to them, and content that they want to enjoy, that they want to see, and be able to connect with them, have that meaningful engagement and connection with our candidates by understanding who they are, where they are during this time.
And I think,
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I've seen candidates who, again, candidates who are looking for a job, that when they take a look at the employers, what employers do on their CSR during this pandemic. And that's one of the things that could get your candidates engaged, because they want employers who are really giving back. Because if you care so much for the community, that means you will care for your employees as well. So again, have that meaningful, that relevance, as Anj said, and as Abhishek and Jun mentioned, communicate, whether it's through a bot or through a person. But there's no such thing as over communicating, because I, as a candidate, would want to know where I am. And if you just ask me how I am, that means a lot to me already.
Penny, there's a question for you. We're not into online contract hiring, yet we are scared to hire fraud. Can you share best practices to avoid hiring fraud? And I don't think Penny is a fraud specialist, so if somebody else wants to take it, you're welcome to. But
I have a suggestion. I am not a fraud specialist. I have a suggestion though. One of the things that I, as an employee and as an applicant, would love to know is you give me the offer. Best to give it verbally through Zoom or through Teams or through whatever, and give it ahead of time. Discuss it with them, so there's a chance to a face-to-face connection while you're giving the job offer, and get the response verbally, so it's recorded. So it's already a recorded acceptance or a recorded rejection. Right. If they ask for time to think about it, set up another call. Or you can go ahead and email, and then they can print it and sign it. Not an e-signature, sign it, scan it, and send it to you. Or if you are in your house and you would like to give the address of your house so that you can have a hard copy, there's Lala Move and Grab Delivery that will deliver the contract. You can make that arrangements. That's my suggestion. I'm not a fraud specialist.
That's pretty good. I think it's super important. Good advice on getting that Zoom call and getting them to say yes. That's probably going to reduce your dropout rates by a few points post signature. Any other advice on this remote hiring particular pain point from the panelists? Anybody? No?
My suggestion is so you work also with your BI vendors, because I know our BI vendors are still working. The only difference is they have a longer turnaround time, but they're still able to provide the background investigation check that we're requiring.
Oh yes, the background investigation is required. One of the things that we did before the lockdown and many years ago was the passing of the background investigation is a clause in the contract. So if you don't pass a background investigation, this contract will be negated. So it is there. You still have to do it, but if it's hard to do it and they accept the offer, they should know whether they had a missing employer that they did put in or something. So they have to be upfront with you as well. So that's my suggestions.
Question for Abhishek or Anj. I think that's an easy one for Anj. It's too easy. It's nice what you said about showing candidates that we care, but given that everything is virtual, how do we do this from behind the screen? I think what people are looking for on this call are some practical tips, some examples of how you can show someone that you care, from a distance without giving them a hug.
Right. Abhishek, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very close to my heart. Communicating, networking. I believe, again, the messaging and what messaging is important. Using the correct content is very, very critical, because when you are not face to face, you miss that part where you can show that empathy or you can show that feeling. But then when you are over a message or over a phone, it's important. The choice of words is very, very critical. So, and there are different tools available in the market wherein you can automate your responses, and you can filter your responses. You put that language into that tool, and the tool will give you the right language for the right situation. I think that's where we can improve, and we can create an impact as well. Yeah.
Right. And I just wanted to add to that, that information in itself, especially during this time, is already care. Penny was pointing out, the most annoying thing that we do as recruiters that candidates hate is not giving feedback. So providing feedback at every stage, for us, filling a position may not be urgent, but if you're a candidate and you're looking for a job that's more stable or that's going to feed your family, then all of a sudden, all of that application step becomes urgent, right? So just providing that information, and not necessarily just about the job, but showing care during this time where it's hard to commute, it's hard to be able to apply physically. How do we adjust our process? Even adjusting our process to show that we have concern for the health of a candidate is already care. So just don't stop giving information. Just make sure it's not fake news, because there's also a lot of that's going around. And just be there for the candidate so that all the questions they have are answered at the time that they need those answers.
Absolutely. And adding to again, and not just that, we have an opportunity to add more touch points. It was not humanly possible earlier to connect with the candidate every hour or every day, or probably twice a day or thrice a day. Now you have an opportunity that you set up time that after this function is done, once you collect the documents, you can share information. You receive the document, you share an information: we have received, thank you for your response. When you again ask for certain documents, you can again model that and send a response there once the person joins the organization. So there are several touch points where you can automate and send a response, and those will be much appreciated by a candidate, because they are getting responses for each and everything, maybe, right? So I think we are in a good space there.
Okay. There's a question that came from Facebook about realizations. When over the last few weeks, we've all been through an emotional roller coaster, and it wasn't all pleasant, of course, but possibly there were some realizations about this went a lot easier than I thought. We talked a little bit about that, and we said, wow, we can actually work from home. What are some pleasant surprises that kind of hit you unexpected over the last few weeks that you're going to take away as the new normal, where you think, well, I didn't think it would happen so fast and so easily. Is it simply the realization that people can work from home, or was there How did that realization kind of take form in your environment?
I'll start, Max. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Please first.
Okay. For me, one of the key realizations I've had is, what's very, very important is your team is able to adaptability and flexibility, right? For now we're encountering, this pandemic, but who knows, like hopefully not anytime soon we're going to have another one. But just in case, since we live in a VUCA world, right? It's very important for the team to always be flexible, having an open mind in terms of how we change the process, the willingness of the recruiters to adapt to these process changes. At the same time, always thinking that candidate experience should never be, compromised. For every change in terms of the process that we make, we always have to think, what's the impact to our candidates? Ange mentioned earlier that, a lot of the things that we're doing right now, showing the care, all of these things, these are all important stuff. But when we also change the process, we also have to step back and say, does it really make sense for our candidates to go through this type of process? So I think for me, that's going to be, a standard, regardless if we move out of, this situation or not, or if and after. That's going to be the same for us, how we operate. Flexibility, being able to adjust, thinking of candidate experience as one of our top priorities, engaging our candidates with proper content. So That's us.
That's awesome. For us, it's actually, well, for me in particular, the biggest aha moment. It's how I appreciate that the culture of the organization surfaces in a time of crisis. Because I've been through other organizations, you see their values, their corporate values, it's written big bold letters in the wall. But in a time of conflict, all of that goes out the window. And it's during this time of crisis, I realized that the culture, the true culture of an organization surfaces, how you would deal with each other, how you would reach out to each other, how you would cooperate in order to ensure that everyone's doing okay. I've been with various organizations, but this is the first organization wherein the leadership team would say, I'd take a 20% pay cut, so as the folks who are not working, they're able to get some money. And these are leadership examples that would then trickle down to the entire organization. For me, in a single word, it's malasakit. Malasakit in action. Greatest realization.
20%. That's not bad. That's not bad. Just kidding. That's great. That's great.
And what what Amrul mentioned about what Amrul mentioned about change, I think we can go a step further as well. Prior to the COVID thing, we never thought that something this is an improbability that we thought which is getting realized today, and there are other improbabilities that we can think of today which can be realized in future. I think what we sometimes wait is something to happen to hit us, and then we realize that, and then we take action. What we should do is probably foresee what could happen, or what maybe today, as of today, it's not possible, but then it is possible. So those possibilities we need to think and be geared up for that, and be prepared, and probably prepare for that. So I think we can go a step further in venturing what has not happened, and probably go for it.
Very good. Very good. I see our time is up, so we're going to give you those closing words, Abhishek. Thank you. Prepare for the impossible, and I think tying it back to Jun's comments, the values of your organization are what prepare you for the unexpected. And so it's a wonderful reminder that that's why we built them. Thank you for everybody for joining today. It was really cool and fun, and we really well attended. So everybody, thank you for joining. Thanks, Ems, for joining the panel. And remember to go buy some burgers online, everybody. Thanks, Jun, for your chatbot stories. Penny, I have your book right here, Career Shift.
And I have 2 books, by the way, not 1.
There you go. Go find them. Okay. And Anj, thank you so much for your inspiring words on how to show to build the employer brand during this time. And
thank you,
we'll send everybody participation. Everybody who participated, a little summary of what was covered today, and hope to continue the conversation online.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I let everyone go, I'd like to share this. Sorry. So we have our next event. This is happening on May 20th. The topic is going to be RPA for recruiting. The time is now. Basically, we'll be taking up robotic process automation in this webinar. You should be able to sign up for this webinar here on this website. You should see that on the chat right now. We'll also be sending this on our socials and on our newsletters. All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Max.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.